It's been a while since we just talked. So, let's talk. Stay tuned. Hi, YouTube. Welcome to the Lily A Show. As usual, it is my show, so I'm Christian. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into my rant for the evening. First of all, I'd like to start by saying, for those of you who don't know, I am a total gospel head. So, like, if you follow me on Twitter, you see I post links of like crazy choirs and singing soloists all the time. But for the past 24 hours, I have been completely captivated by an artist, Michelle Prather. She sings with Kurt Carr, and the video that I found of her is at First Baptist Church of Glenarden, and she's singing "Thou Art Worthy" with New Revolution. She is doing vocal acrobatics. Oh my God, she might as well be doing cartwheels across the pulpit. Had I been there, I probably would have thrown both of my shoes at her. So, if you have time, go check her out. Send her some love on that video because it's good. It's really, really good. I have it on my iPod, and I don't do that often. I actually downloaded it because the original version doesn't have her on it, which I would have preferred. But I pulled the video off of YouTube, mastered it, and it sounds like it came off a CD. It's crazy. Okay, but anyway, so I was reading a couple things, and I was talking to a couple people, and I started thinking about like people's obsession with quantity. Like this boy sent me a message the other day and he was like, "Oh my God, I bet you have dudes just knocking down your door." And I thought to myself, that is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life. Because some people would rather have, like, you know, five or six useless boys than one that's actually worth something. Now, I like to let you into my personal life every once in a while. But today I got a call that I wasn't expecting. It started with a message on Facebook asking for my number. So I gave it to him, and it was my ex. And if you've seen some of my other videos, I didn't like him very much. This is the ex that I was like completely and totally, utterly head over heels in love with. And one day it was just over. And that heartbreak is the way that I am, is the reason that I am the way I am today. Frigid. I literally had to shut my emotions off because it hurt so bad. And I just needed closure. I really needed closure. I needed an explanation or something. And tonight he called and we talked for over an hour, probably almost 2 hours. And he said the most priceless thing that I could have asked for. He apologized for all of the pain and all of the heartbreak and suffering, because in order to understand how profound that is, you have to actually know him, because he's really not a mushy type. He's not the type to be expressing himself in things or more or less apologizing to someone, because he's very unapologetic and extremely mean at times. But he called me and he apologized and I cried because I realized that ever since we broke up, I I just needed that. I just needed him to apologize for what he had done to me. And I feel better. I mean, I held on to the hope that maybe one day we would get back together for a long time until it just became obvious that that was not the case. So I kind of gave up on it. But I always carried with me that yearning for the old days, I guess I would say. And all things considered, I had another rather interesting relationship prior to meeting him, but he was only the second person that I was ever in a serious relationship with, and he remains the second because there is no third. Um, he was my first real love, and For those of you who've been in love before, you understand that first love is a special kind of love, and it never ever goes away. It basically haunts you for the rest of your life, and people who meet you after them are doomed to be compared. But it just meant so much to me just to hear him apologize. I can't even begin to explain how much it meant to me. Girls, I had mascara running down my face, and this is MAC. It doesn't run unless it is coaxed. And it was coaxed this evening because it was running. But to him, when he watches this video, I forgive you and thank you. Now, on to more pressing issues. Um, I was tweeting the other day out of frustration because it amazes me the way people think about some things. Like I was saying earlier with the whole quantity over quality thing. I would rather have one dude who maybe doesn't live up to every outrageous far-fetched standard that I've ever conceived of, but is as a whole pretty much everything that I could possibly ask for, as opposed to three different people who have to deal with three different attitudes and three different buckets of bullshit that all have characteristics of what my ideal would be. And that seems to be what a lot of people are doing. I notice a lot of people just sell themselves short. They sleep around, they do stupid shit. Like the other day, I tweeted, people do the stupidest shit. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you keep doing the same thing, if you keep going to the same places, you can't expect to attract anything different than what you've been attracting. Doesn't that make sense? I guess it doesn't make sense to some people, but that's all I'm saying. But it all started really with the question about boys knocking down my door. And then it was another one. As you guys know, I do a little bit of HIV activism. I've been kind of dormant because personal life has kind of taken precedence. But a lot of people do know that that's what I do. So I got a message the other day about this boy who said that he was concerned that he may have had, he may have been exposed to an STI of some sort. Not specifically HIV, but an STI. And when I asked him, like, okay, was this worry prompted by symptoms or what? And he was like, no. And me and this boy were, such and such and such, and the condom broke, and he just really acted really nonchalant about it or whatever. And I was like, okay. And then he proceeded to tell me that he had another scare where he had contracted an STI, and the boy turned around and told him that he found out that he was positive. And to me, it was a glaring road sign that maybe you need to stop doing what you're doing. Come on. Everybody's running around here like they have the biggest dick in the world and the best ass in the world, buying magnums for their lifestyle. Catch it. And just being whorish. And then when you have to go to the clinic to get, 4 or 5 shots in your ass and have the audacity to worry that it may be happening again, clearly something that you're doing is not working out. My recommendation, to put it harshly, stop being a hoe. You do not need to sleep with someone every week. You just don't. You don't really need to sleep with someone every month. If you don't have the willpower to control that, then you have a problem. You have an addiction. And I think that's just what it is. Like, people just seem to have an addiction to, like, sex. I don't crave that. I crave intimacy. I would, rather be close to someone that means something to me rather than just screwing half of the south side of Chicago like a lot of these girls do. And it's no shade to anybody, so let me clear this up right now. If you felt some type of way about it, it was not directed towards you. It's just a general statement. But it's so stupid. I'm like, why would you even tell someone that much of the story? Because by now you should have slightly figured out that maybe the reason that you're having these problems is because you are a hoe. But I digress. Um, On to my other concern about relationships, period. I talked about in my gay relationships video that it happens too quickly, but I think that there's an art to dating. Like, dating, I mean, these days, dating has come down to a bottle of cheap liquor and a condom. Maybe a condom. Hopefully, a condom. The backseat of a car, be it. Add all these things together, and you pretty much have a contemporary modern day date, which is something that I don't subscribe to. I don't want to come over your house and chill. I don't want to come over and drink vodka with you, and especially not Saveka, Pinnacle, or Aristocrat, because that is low budget as fuck. I'm just saying. But the other day, this boy who I am slightly interested in, I suppose, he called. Actually, he texted me out of the blue, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Nothing." And it was like, like midnight, on like a Tuesday, and I was like, "Nothing on Facebook." And he was like, "Okay, well, I want to go out." I'm like, "It's Tuesday in Chicago. What is there to do?" "I don't know. Let's go find something." I said, "Well, I'm a little hard pressed right now, and I'm on a strict budget. I can't go anywhere." He was like, "I keep forgetting I'm in the north. When a man asks you to go somewhere, or when I ask you to go somewhere, that means I'm taking care of everything. Get dressed. I'll be over there in like an hour." And he came out to the suburbs. We went all the way back up north. We went out. We had drinks. We had great conversation. And it was so refreshing to have someone who wasn't, or to be out with someone who wasn't trying to force themselves upon me, because it seems like that's what people are into doing these days, like forcing their way into people's personal areas. But it's been lost in translation. Like, people don't really understand that. People don't know what that's about. Like, it had been literally ages since I had been on a date, and I could probably count on my fingers and toes how many I've been on, because people are so caught up in sex and being whorish that they forgot about the art of dating. And a lot of people who do these stupid, nasty things wonder why they're always single. It's because you're a hoe. I keep saying this. I hope somebody's catching on to that. If these things apply to you, more than one of these things, you may be a hoe in need of help. But me personally, I've come to the conclusion that I'm single by choice because I refuse to settle for foolishness, which is what a lot of these people are dealing. A lot of boys, men, dudes, I mean, I'm sure there's some females doing the same thing. They're just selling bullshit, and I just don't have time for it. I have too much on my plate. I'm too driven. I have too much ambition to be held down by someone who is comfortable with where they are and has no dreams for the future. If you don't dream about the future, then you and I have nothing in common. And as of yet, I haven't found someone who shares that ambition, that drive, and that dream. Because I dream of being a millionaire someday, and people think so small. They dream of an apartment somewhere with a Honda Accord and a dog with a cute boy. That's not for me at all. That's not my dream. And obviously, I'm in the minority. And I'm at the point where I don't really mind being single. It's actually quite refreshing not to have to deal with someone's bullshit just to be able to say that, hey, I have a boyfriend. So, what I have to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is value yourself. Please stop selling yourself short. Short, if that's what you've been doing. Like, if you've been handing out ass like hotcakes at McDonald's, then stop doing that. And if you're dealing with someone's bullshit just because he's cute and because you're comfortable, it's not healthy. The forefathers promised us three things: life, which is given by God; liberty, which is provided by the Constitution. And I always found it interesting that they didn't say happiness, they said the pursuit of happiness. because being happy is a chase. You're always chasing the dream. And as long as you keep pursuing happiness, you'll eventually get there. So that's it for my Mother Goose thing. This is longer than I thought it would be. Well, anyway, I love you guys. Follow me on Twitter, c.jameslillia. Be on the lookout for my next video on my other channel, which is youtube.com/The Show. And as usual, I love you guys. As you can hear, I have Michelle Prather playing in the back. So I think I might put the link to that under this video. Whatever. I'll decide later. Be sure to like the new page on Facebook. And I love you guys.
Now, honey, you better sit down and look around, 'cause you must have bumped your head. And I love you enough to talk some sense back into you, baby. I hate to see you come home. Me, the kids, and the dog is gone.